Welcome everyone to the Women Automotive Network Leadership Interview Series. We have a little special edition for you, and I am very, very proud to be interviewing one of our special advisors, Caroline Trudeau. So over to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. And it's so weird to be on this side of the interviewing panel. I'm usually the one doing the questioning. So thank you for this honor. About me, well, I'm Canadian American. You are finding me in my holiday decorated home in Reston, Virginia, which also serves as my office, as many of us have experienced for quite too long, I imagine. It's actually the North American headquarters of both Rolls-Royce and the Volkswagen Group. So quite a lot of activity here in the automotive industry in the Northern Virginia area. I am a career-long consultant. I just love solving gnarly problems, helping people, helping clients look at really complicated and complex issues, and helping find solutions that fit within their organizations. My focus is mostly on customer experience, starting from the humble beginnings of the call centers of America online. You might have heard of it, where connecting with customers every day was just a passion that's been pulled throughout the entirety of my career. Now orchestrating large customer experience delivery program strategies, platforms for OEM customers here in North America.
Fantastic, and super exciting times, even though, like you mentioned, strange times, but with all the new technologies, really interesting.
For sure, there's definitely not a lack of big problems to solve at the moment, and it's also very exciting what's happening in the industry with more change. I think I read this weekend expected in the next 10 years than the previous 50. Yeah. So our clients, I'm at Capgemini Invent at the moment, our clients are really looking at how will they metabolize all the change that's happening, and what technologies, to your point, do they need to be investing in. But what's most interesting to me is how will customers, how will the people respond to all of these change. So right now I'm really, really obsessed about the electrification transition and what it means to people, like you and I, who are actually commuters and who want to be mobile, and who have these fears and anxieties, if you will, about like, how will I charge? How will I go from petrol to something else? And how far, range anxiety, how will I be able to get to my Christmas holiday gathering in Kentucky this weekend in my electric vehicle? It's a 500-mile commute. So there's just a lot of very exciting societal changes that I see that are needing to happen, and that's kind of the place where I have the most passion.
Definitely, and I think in the last year is a conversation that's now happening, and change is happening now rather than it being in the background. But before we pick your brains about the trends and the issues of 2021 and 22 and 23, we would like to have a little bit of a personal story or go through the personal journey, because Caroline was an attendee at the first event in Stuttgart back in 2019. And we just wanted to ask you, why did you attend that event?
It was all your fault. Excuse me. It was all your fault, Stephanie. You stalked me on LinkedIn. You're so good.
Okay, be nice.
No, we engaged in a really nice conversation, you and I. We do. I think as consumers of conferences and digital content, we are bombarded by all of these things. And what I experienced with you was a very personal connection. Even in just like the language that you used to grab my attention. So yeah, it was all your fault, and I'm so grateful. I think I was in Munich at the time. I was at the end of stretching my Schengen region visa to the end, after the end, dreaming of relocating and working in Munich and stitching some freelance assignments together. When you reached out, and when I understood what was happening in the cradle of the automobile, when a gang of ladies were getting, and gentlemen too, were getting together to talk about topics that I hadn't heard talked about before, to share personal stories. And most importantly for me, it was to see women leaders, women that I could see as role models, as aspirations, and as inspiration. So I just knew there was going to be something happening there, and I needed to be there. So I scrounged up all the little bit of money that I had left and sort of headed over to Stuttgart. And I'm really glad that I did. And I can't believe it's already been 2.5 years, and the network has grown. I mean, we were 150, right?
I was gonna say, yeah, go on. 150 people back in Stuttgart 2 years ago, and obviously things have changed with COVID, and for us it was kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise when events went virtual, because now we have 700 attendees, global attendees, not just based in Germany. And the network 6,500 wide community pushing it. It's super exciting.
Congratulations. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you I know it was your vision to see this event. And I just remember seeing you at the end of the event, taking the microphone and sort of wrapping up the first and only stage presence that we had so far. And I just knew I had to be part of it. And of course, I had to come meet you in real life, which was the last time we saw each other. And, I felt like I needed to do more and to stay connected and to be plugged in and to contribute to seeing the change that we all know is very necessary, not only in our industry, but in the world. So it just feels really great to be part of it. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to contribute over the years, to interview the incredible set of women and men that have been part of the community building effort so far. It's super cool to have been there since the beginning.
I was going to say, was there any lasting impression from Stuttgart in 2019?
Yeah, actually, you know what I did? As I prepared for this session, I reread all the articles that I read about Women Automotive Summit over the years. And I remember, I'm thanking my past self for writing it, because I brought myself back to that moment where I walked into, the sort of conference space and, hearing all of the different languages spoken and all of the beautiful English accents of all different kinds of provenances. So just the multicultural and the diversity within the community is something that has left an impression on me, and that has built over the digital events as well. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that too. I think also there's a sense of intimacy that we've been able to, we were able to create at that moment together, because it was small, but that has sort of transcended time. Intimacy has been really key, a key feeling as I go to events and as I meet some of the women and as I interview. And and I mentioned about role models before. It has been really inspiring to see women in roles where, like Linda Jackson, I just can't, I just love her. And it's just so inspiring to see somebody give her time to inspire all of us, that and to showcase tips and tricks and techniques and methodologies and ways of thinking that elevate all of us together.
What I really liked about Linda Jackson was, obviously she was at the first event in Stuttgart in 2019 and shared her story and experience, and then she joined us last year virtually in her new role as VP of Stellantis, and just to hear the same message but different messages, I thought that was really interesting.
It's inspiring to understand how these badass leaders, if I may, are leveraging sort of their core, their values, their philosophy, the steps that they've taken in their careers and how being more of themselves has anchored their success, to me is super inspiring. I think their network has also given me really, really strong connections.
I was just going to ask you, so if there's one thing about the Women Automotive Network, how do you think it supported you?
Yeah, I mean, just so many connections, and connections that have become maybe individuals that I would categorize in 2 or 3 different sections. You know, there's sort of the what I referred to before is like the diversity of thought and the diversity of the types of work and the places where the network lives, in some of the one-to-one networking events, which I have loved, by the way. Love the one-to-one networking is phenomenal. It's really helped me see the breadth of all of the different parts of women's contribution to the automotive industry, from, you know, just like the nerdiness of one specific thing that happens in the vastness that is all of automotive, all the way to some of the leaders that we talk about. There's definitely space for all of us. So I've also met women that I feel like if I had to pick up the phone and say, hey, it's Caroline, but we belong to the same network, that I would be capable of engaging in a significant conversation with another human being that way. And I think the most important benefit for me has been the connections of friendships, you know, women that, you know, I've seen in Stuttgart, and then I had the luxury of going to Istanbul as well with one of the other events that the organization puts on together. So there has been, you know, touch points where significant connections that are, you know, beyond just the network have started. So I want to give a shout out to Angelica. Hey, girl.
Well, before you talk about the personal relationships that the network's given you, I think there's been some professional developments as well since Stuttgart.
Yeah. So I had a big event in 21, you know, and it's December now, as you can see. But yeah, big events, big happenings this year for me. I actually returned full-time to the automotive industry when I joined Capgemini and Bend in North America. It's the transformation powerhouse of the Capgemini group, which is probably not, oh, it's actually, we're a sponsor of the network. So it was very serendipitous how the journey took me to my first day on the job at Capgemini, hosting the pre-day, excuse me, of Women Automotive Summit this year. So yeah, joined the growing automotive team here in North America, and I'm hiring if anybody is looking or interested. Gotta plug in the consultative side of the business, which I think is really exciting. And my focus is mostly on delivering experience across the board in automotive to help OEMs launch these products. Yeah.
You're talking about plugins. I'll do a plugin from our side. So you've just mentioned you're hiring. So part of our plans for 2022 is to launch the mentorship program, but also to support, you know, career development. And the new website will have a whole job feature listings. So you send over those openings, and we'll on the website.
This is how it happens. Okay, wait, so I'm sorry, I cannot not take the role of interviewer for just 1 second. Can you tell us more about what we can expect from the network in 22?
Well, 2021 has been a strange year, as everyone knows. We're quite bored of those conversations, but at the same time, it's super relevant. As you've just highlighted, we met in Stuttgart in 2019. We were hoping that this would be an amazing event platform for women in automotive, and then everything had to go virtual. Things are looking pretty much the same for 2022 for us. We have now grown to an amazing community, 6,500, and we want to keep that online community and solidify the networking. So we'll be doing 3 virtual events in March, June, and November. So hopefully people can log in wherever they are, because I think we're at 40 countries now represented, which,
Wow.
yeah, is super exciting, from Peru to Japan. Yeah, it's really cool. And then aside from the virtual events, obviously our mission is to support women in automotive in any way possible. So we've got the mentorship program in January. We've got the monthly newsletters with members of the month. We've got the leadership interview series, and the new job listings. Because I think, like you said, with this huge network of 6,500, we can really connect people and kind of lift them up the ladder or along the ladder. Not everyone needs to be a leader.
Yeah, wow, this is so cool. And I think that when I was preparing for one of the events, and I saw the growth, just the exponential growth, just in sheer numbers of the network's contributors and participants, I just realized like how needed this community is, and what you're sharing in terms of the global reach is just phenomenal. Peru and so many cool countries. That's amazing. That's so cool. Congrats. This is so great.
Super exciting times, and to see the growth of the network just shows, you know, that there's interest and a need. We don't have a specific mission and no quota. We're just here for women in automotive, hopefully.
That's really great.
We always end these interviews, and I think this question may even have come from you, so I have to ask it back. Caroline, in one word, what is the current opportunity for women in automotive?
I picked the word unbelievable.
Ooh, like it.
Do you want to know a little bit more?
Yeah, go on. Even though it's one word, we want to hear more.
One word. I know how this works. I love this question because it puts a little pressure on the participant in the interview to answer with one word. But
you must have had a long time though to choose yours.
Very hard. Yeah, it's very hard. It's unbelievable to me that the change we talked about before that's happening in our industry, and you know, for me, it's all in service of helping people move more freely and sustainably, of course. There is just an incredible amount of work that needs to be done, and there needs to be outside in thinking that comes into the industry. And so the unbelievableness, if that's even a word, of the opportunities that are available to women, I think it, and others, really, the industry does not discriminate in that sense at all, is just to have a look and consider it. I encourage everyone. In fact, I just hired somebody who has no automotive experience, a woman from outside of the industry, because the only answer to how can we get more women in automotive is to grab them from everywhere that we can, and right, let's go get them, let's bring them, and that what we can create will really be unbelievable.
Amazing. So before we wrap up, you've mentioned electrification and customer experience. Is there any other, you know, trends that you think that we should be watching out for in 2022?
I mean, there isn't a day that I don't open up, you know, the news or look at the recap of all the news, and, you know, when a trend doesn't pop up. So for me, it's really about like focusing on the areas where I know that I can have an impact. So I did talk about, you know, how society will choose to make the transition to electricity, like the largest transition, energy transition moment that world has ever seen. So there's an unbelievable amount of opportunity with that and change. I'm also keeping up, of course, with experience. And one of the interesting things that has transpired in some of the work that I've done in the last 6 months since I've been at Capgemini Invent is talking to the CXOs about their agenda, specifically for automotive CXOs. And one of the things that I'm thrilled to have heard from CEOs specifically is the employee experience component of experience. So there's sort of something that I'm excited to to see how it transpires, how we apply the sort of traditional and proven techniques of customer experience into the employee experience realm to accelerate the change that that we know we need to have, especially 2 years into this sort of working remote and pandemic and meeting to meet. How do we change our culture? How do we use some of this practice that we have come so far with on the customer side to bring to the employee side? So I'm really excited to hear that has made the CEO's agenda.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to say the S word, sustainability. I was at IAA in Munich in September, and I just couldn't believe, that everybody was talking about sustainability. It was like, wow, I woke up and, came out of my nutshell here. And so
it's definitely a buzzword, isn't it, at the minute?
Well, exactly. I came back and I was wondering, like, in a country where sustainability doesn't exactly score really high on global scorecards, in the US, like, what does all of this message of sustainability mean to us? And so I'm super interested. And I'm actually I'm starting a program tomorrow at the University of Cambridge, darling, around executive leadership, around the sustainability topics. Like, I am that committed to it, that excited about finding out what does sustainability mean in America, and how do we become more specific about how we define it in our organizations and what actions we derive. And then go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, as an experienced consultant in the automotive industry, sustainability is a buzzword at the minute, but what does it mean to you and Capgemini?
Yeah, well, for me personally, it starts with me. What decisions do I make? How do I show up? How do I spend my time? I value time really high. So how do I spend my time? How do I contribute value? How do I, move my own personal actions to be towards the goal that we collectively all talk about around people and planet and prosperity, of course. At Capgemini, I think we're very, very serious about sustainability. And I have to tell you, I think that the impact of the Capgemini culture when it comes to sustainability on me as an individual is palpable. I feel it, and I'm very excited. I'm very proud of how we are bringing the sustainability lens to all of the work that we do, all of the messages we put in market, all of the offers we line up to solve these gnarly problems for our clients across all industries. So for us, it has become a way of working and a way to have a dialogue with our clients that makes them think not only about the work that is needed to be done, but also about the contributions that we make, longer term, with net positive impacts, considering circular processes. So it's not, for us, it's not just a little thing.
Yep.
It's really about looking at the totality of how we do business and prioritizing caring for each other, our planet, as a priority. So it's really exciting. And then the last thing, I don't think the auto industry, I'm excited to see the impact of new financial markets, cryptocurrencies, biometrics, and that sort of very cool technology and payment methods and things of that nature. I'm excited to see what impact this will have on the automotive industry, and also in how, especially here in the US, it could have an impact on legislation and how people are actually allowed to buy cars and mobility services across the different states. So it's pretty exciting to see that they're brand new markets that could have an even more greater impact on the auto industry than we've already experienced with the transition to electricity. So it's going to be a very exciting 22 for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I was going to say, definitely given us food for thought for everything. So thank you so much for both your trends, your tech trends, your issues, your customer experience, and your personal story. We really appreciate your time today. And well, on behalf of the Women Automotive Network, we will see you again in March or June or just online, hopefully.
Definitely. I'll be there. You know where to find me.
Super. Thank you once again, Caroline. Lovely to catch up with you, and festive greetings from London.
You too, from Reston. Ciao.
Bye.